those who joined on the live call, as well as for those who will watch the video in YouTube, if at all they would. This is the Śrimad Bhāgavatam class for School Portland, Sunday morning at 8 a.m. Today we'll be reading and discuss from Śrimad Bhāgavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 11, verse number 25. It's a very, very beautiful verse. I'll share my screen and chant the verse and then repeat. Okay. Okay. I'll recite the verse 3 times, and if anyone would like to repeat, then they can repeat. Nityam nirikshamananam yad api dvarakaukasam navrityanti drishaha Shriyodhamangamachutam Nityam nirikshamananam yad dvarakaukasam navrityanti drishaha Shriyodhamanga achyutam Nityam nirikshamananam yad api dvarakaukasam navrityapanti drishaha Shriyodhamangam achyutam. Lakshmati, would like to read, Mataji?
Make it a little big letters, Prabhuji.
Yeah. Is it enough?
Yeah, it's enough.
Okay.
Hare Krishna. Nityam nirikam mananam yad api dvaraka kosam navrupyanti hidrashe striyo damangam achyutam.
Yeah.
Hare
Thank you so much.
Synonymous?
I can read that, Mataji. I can read that. Thank you so much, Mataji. The synonyms: Nityam, regularly, always. Nirikshamananam, of those who look at him. Yet, although, in spite of, Dwaraka Okasam, the inhabitants of Dwaraka. Na, never. Vitrapanti, satisfied. He, exactly. Chaha, sight. Shriyaha, beauties. Dhama, Angam, the bodily reservoir. Achyutam, the infallible. Translation and prepared by Sri Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. The inhabitants of Dwarka were regularly accustomed to look upon the reservoir of all beauty, the infallible Lord, yet they were never satiated. Purport. When the ladies of the city of Dwarka got up on the roofs of the palaces, they never thought that they had previously many times seen the beautiful body of the infallible Lord. This indicates that they had no satiation in desiring to see the Lord. Anything material seen for a number of times ultimately becomes unattractive by the law of satiation. The law of satiation acts materially, but there is no scope for it in the spiritual realm. The word infallible is significant here, because although the Lord has mercifully descended to the earth, he is still infallible. The living entities are fallible because when they come in contact with the material world, they lack their spiritual identity, and thus the body materially obtained becomes subjected to birth, growth, transformation, situation, deterioration, and annihilation under the laws of nature. Lord's body is not like that. He descends as he is and is never under the laws of material modes. His body is the source of everything that be, the reservoir of all beauties, beyond our experience. No one, therefore, is satiated by seeing the transcendental body of the Lord, because there are always manifestations of newer and newer beauties. The transcendental name, form, qualities, entourage, etc. are all spiritual manifestations, and there is no satiation in chanting the holy name of the Lord. There is no satiation in discussing the qualities of the Lord, and there is no limitation of the entourage of the Lord. He is the source of all and is limitless. Okay. So I'll read the verse once again. Nityam nirikshamananam yapi dvarakaukasam na vitrapanti hidrisha Shriyodhamangamachutam. The inhabitants of Dwarka were regularly accustomed to look upon the reservoir of all beauty, infallible Lord, yet they were never satiated. Yes, it's a very, very, very beautiful verse. It's very nice. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Mataji. Thank you for joining.
Hare Krishna. Thank you.
So I'm discussing on two particular things from this particular verse. First one is regarding the infallibility of the Lord, and second, the beauty of Krishna. So, if you see this in this verse, in the translation itself, it says that the inhabitants of Dwarka were regularly accustomed to look upon the reservoir of all beauty, but they were still not satiated. They were satisfied. Could say one thing. So, two seemingly opposite inclinations are described, you could say, in this particular verse and the puppet as well. Two seemingly opposite things. On one side, we usually want familiar things, or comfortable, that which is known to us. We like to have some predictability, something which we know we're comfortable with, or secure, right? On the other hand, we also want newness, or mystery, excitement, some action, right? So it's like two different things. We want something very similar because we know it's secure, it's safe, it's comfortable, but we also want something new. That's why if you see people, they love to travel and they come back home. They love to come back home. They say, "Oh, finally we are home." So they want the comfortability, the security of the home, but they also want to experience something different, new, or mystery or excitement. That's why they go somewhere else and then come back home. Right? Home is where the heart is, something like that. So see, this seemingly two opposite inclinations are described in this particular verse, and Krishna is called as or is known as the harmonizer of all contradictions. He harmonizes all the different contradictions, which seemingly is impossible to exist in one person, but Krishna exhibits that. And there's a beautiful class by Sri Saripasha Prabhu on this particular topic. Absolutely beautiful. He gave a class. He took one verse from the prayers of Gajendra Moksha prayers, and he described how this inconceivability or the two opposite, how Krishna is harmonized of all contradictions. Very beautiful class. So all this inconceivability, all this contradictions, so to say, seemingly opposite contradictions, they inconceivably come together in Krishna, right? So Krishna is both. He is old, we'll see, comfortable, familiar. That's what the ladies of Dwarka regularly accustomed. They've seen many times, right? And they still never satiated. What is going on? Something's new. What is this? What is that? So Krishna is the same in the past, present, in the future, right? He's always as he is. But still, they were never satiated by looking at Krishna. So that is where Krishna harmonizes all this two seemingly opposite things within himself. Now, I mentioned we'll talk about the infallibility. Krishna Prabhupada mentions about the infallibility of the Lord, because the word Achyutam has been used in this particular verse. Shriyo Dhamangam Achyutam. So let's look at the verse first. It is Nityam Nirikshamananam. Nityam means always. Nirikshamana means, they used to look at him always. Who? Yeah, the Dwaraka Okasam. Dwaraka Okasam. Okasam means residents of Dwarka. The residents of Dwarka were always looking at Krishna. Nirikshamananam. Niriksha. So, looking at Krishna. Always looking at Krishna. Nityam. But then what? Na. What is no? Vitripyanti. Tripta means Tripta means satisfied. Vitripyanti means very satisfied. No, not very satisfied at all. Kidrisha, looking at him. So the residents of Dwarka were Niriksha Mananam Drisha Nityam, always looking at Krishna, regularly looking at Krishna, but never satisfied. Not Vitripyanti. And then they're addressing Krishna, they're giving adjective to Krishna. What is the adjective? Shriyo Dhamangam Achyutam. So Dhama means the abode or abode. Dham is abode, right? Or a place. Shriya means opulence. So Krishna is Shriya Dhama Angam. So his Anga is Dhama, abode of all opulences. Right? So his limbs are the abode of all opulences. 6 opulences we know, Bhagavan. So he is the embodiment, or his limbs are the embodiment of all the 6 opulences. And his Achyutam is infallible. That is the Anvaya of this particular verse. So now, in this regard, talks about the infallibility, Achyutam. The Achyutam word is very, very important. And infallible means Achyuta. And this word has, of course, words have their meanings, but the usage, depending on the usage, depending on different contexts, the meaning can get a little bit different, right? So, Achyutam in one way traditionally would mean one who never falls, right? Or one who never fails, right? So, one very classic example of the word Achyutam being used is in the Bhagavad Gita. If you see the word in chapter number 1, where Krishna or Arjuna actually addresses Krishna as Senayor Ubhayor Madhye Ratham Sthape Me Achyuta. Senayor Ubhayor. O Achyuta. Senayor Ubhayor Madhye. Madhye means in the middle. Please take this chariot. Ratham Sthape Me. Senayor Ubhayor Madhye. Please take the Rath and place it in the middle of the battlefield. I want to see who I'm come to fight in this great trial of arms. So this is Achyuta. So Sri Prabhupada, in that particular, the purport to the particular verse, I'll read the purport, the very beautiful purport. Although Lord Krishna is Supreme Personality of Godhead, for his causeless mercy, he was engaged in the service of his friend. He never fails in his affection for his devotees. Achyuta means who never fails. Fails in what? Fail can mean failing in a battle. Of course, in Braj is different. He fails many times by wrestling with his friends, but one never fails in his affection, one never fails in reciprocating with the Lord, with his devotees, right? So he never fails in his affection for his devotees, and thus he is addressed here as infallible, Achyuta. As a charioteer, he had to carry out the orders of Arjuna, and since he did not hesitate to do so, he is addressed as infallible. He never failed, or he never fails to reciprocate, never fails to execute the instructions of his devotees, in one sense, right? Never fails. Although he had accepted the position of a charioteer for his devotee, his supreme position was not challenged. See, even though he came to that particular level, in today's world, we might think, oh, that person became a driver of his peon, whatever. Oh, really? Did he lose everything? He had no other job? We may start thinking, what happened to such a high position? Now he's doing all this menial service. What happened? But Prabhupada says here, although he has accepted the position of a charioteer, which is a very low position, because you are the first one to get hit by the arrows from the enemy, and you get hit on the back by the person who is sitting on the chariot to move left or right. It's not a very, you won't, if someone hits you with their leg and says, go here, go there, that's not a very good position to be in, right? But Krishna took up that position as a charioteer. Right, and Prabhupada says, even though he took the position of a charioteer, his position as the Supreme Person of Godhead, Bhagavan, was not challenged. He's God at all times, every time, anytime, whatever you can think of. In all circumstances, he is the Supreme Person of Godhead, Rishikesha. The relationship between the Lord and his servitor is very sweet and transcendental. The servitor is always ready to serve the Lord. Similarly, the Lord is always seeking an opportunity to render some service to the devotee. And that is what happens in Braj, especially. Right? Krishna serving devotees. He takes greater pleasure in his pure devotees assuming the advantageous position of ordering him than he does in being the giver of orders. If you see in this regard, the first verse of Śrimad Bhāgavatam, when you study, the first verse, the Acharya explained this Tatastha Lakshan and the Swarupa Lakshan. Means there is a primary characteristic and secondary characteristics. If you see in this verse, it says, he creates, Abhijna Swarat, Tene, Brahma, Hridaya, Adikave, Bhunte, Surya, Tejo, Varim. See, so he's a creator, he's a maintainer, he's by his potency, he's creating, he Brahma, so many things are mentioned in this particular verse. But says that all secondary. So Krishna doesn't like do all this stuff. That is not his main duty. That is not his main thing. He just wants to have fun with his friends. Right? So he takes pleasure in his pure devotees, assuming the advantageous position of ordering him, than him being the giver of orders. So you do this, you do that. He doesn't like all the stuff. He likes to be controlled by his devotee. Since he is master, everyone is under his orders and knows above him to order him. So in Tattva, he is a master. Aham bija pradapita. Bhoktaram. Aham, right? Aham sarvasya prabhavo matta sarvam pavartate. From him everything comes. So in Tattva, he is the master. Everyone is under his orders. Maya dhakshena pragati suite saracharacharam. Entire material world works under his direction. And knows above him or to order him. He is asam mordhva. Asam urdhva. Urdhva means up. Asam means no one above him. No one is equal to him or above him. Asam mordhva. But when he finds that a pure devotee is ordering him, he obtains transcendental pleasure, although he is infallible. That is rasa. Right? So in principle, yes, Krishna is the Supreme Person of Godhead, he is the topmost, there's no one equal to him, forget about above him. Mattaha parataram nanyat kichati dhananjaya mai sarvidam protam sutre manigana iva. There's no truth superior to me. Right? Krishna says, Mattaha parataram nanyat. So in principle, absolutely yes. But bhakti comes in the picture, everything can just flip. So one meaning is he who never fails to reciprocate and never fails to perform his duty. But here in this particular verse, Achyuta means one who never falls down from his position. Right? If you see in this in the Bhagavad Gita also, in the 15th chapter, I think the last 4 or 5 verses, there's a very, very nice term used in this regard. In the 15.16, it says, Dvav ima purusho loke kshas chakshara evacha akshara sarvani bhutani kutastho kshara uchyate. So the kshara and akshara, what is used? Kshara and akshara. Kshara means fallible. Akshara means infallible. We say akshaya patra. They never empties. Akshaya patra, right? Kshara and akshara. So Krishna actually says that 2 classes of living beings, the infallible and the fallible. And says in the material world, every living entity is fallible. And spiritual world, every living entity is infallible. So besides these two, the greatest living personality, the supreme soul, Nityo Nityanam Chetanam Chetananam, right? Prabhupada says in the purport. The imperishable Lord, he is, besides these two, there's the greatest living personality, there's the Supreme Lord himself, who has entered the world and is maintaining them. And so Krishna says, because I am transcendental, beyond both the fallible and infallible, and because I am the greatest, I am celebrated in all the worlds as the Supreme Person. What is the word used here? Purushottam. Right? So that is he is Purushottam, Uttama Purusha. So basically Krishna says, I am beyond both the infallible and fallible living entities. Right? But Krishna, even though he describes that he is beyond both the infallible and fallible, he is still infallible. Now, but Krishna said he's beyond the infallible and fallible. So in Śrimad Bhāgavatam, it's mentioned that in the 11th canto, 11th chapter, in Bhagavad Gita, he mentions himself. He talks about himself. So in the 11th canto of the 11th chapter, Śrimad Bhāgavatam, the 6th and 7th verse talks about the 2-bird analogy, which is also mentioned in the Upanishads. So in that, the line is Vidya Mayo Yaha Satu Nitya Mukta. So the word used in the particular verse, there are 2 words used, Nitya Baddha and Nitya Mukta. So the Nitya Baddha is used for the living entity and Nitya Mukta is used for the Lord himself. He is Nitya Mukta. So not just the Jivas are Nitya Mukta, even the Lord is Nitya Mukta. Similarly, the living entities are infallible, the Lord is also infallible. Right? So the Lord is infallible. So Achyuta, he never faults. And Prabhupada says here that, and of course, many more things can be said, right? But in the Prabhupada says that he has mercifully descended to the earth So he is called avatar in the sense, avatar means avatarati to avatar, means one who descends. Descend means this place, and the person comes down to a particular place. It's avatar. So we saw that the Lord takes a body and comes. The Lord is body is eternal, transcendental body. Right? So just like Prabhupada gives an analogy like the king coming in the jail. Just because the king also enters the jail, doesn't mean the king is subjected to the laws of the prison, or he is a prisoner himself. No. Right? So the Lord, just because he comes down to the material world, doesn't mean he is bound or he is subjected to the laws of material world, even though he may sometimes act in that way, but he's not. Okay? For example, some of the devatas, when they give boon, it's not that Krishna is bound by they give the body. I can't break that. I'm unable to break that. No, Krishna is not. It's not that he's unable to break, unable to violate the boon of the devatas. It's that he doesn't choose to do so, right? Because Krishna has established a flow. The material world, everything is set. He doesn't like to mess with them unless his pure devotee is in the line of fire, right? So let's let it go as it is, whatever it is. I don't want to mess with the working process, perfectly working process. So Prabhupada says that, as I mentioned, Krishna's material body is not like us. Prabhupada mentioned in the purport. The Lord's body is not like that. His body does not undergo the 6 transformation: birth, growth, maintenance, byproduct, dwindling, death. Right? That kind of 6 transformations for living entity of the material body. We have this. We undergo, any living entity will undergo these 6 transformations. But Krishna's body is not like that. Prabhupada says in the purport. And Krishna also confirms this in the 4th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, where he talks about himself. He finds an opportunity to give to shed some light on his transcendental body, his transcendental position. In the chapter 4, he says, Ajopisan abhyatma bhutanam ishparopisan pratim samadhisthaya sambhavami atmayaya. So, Ajopisan abhyatma. Atma here means body. This is aja. My body is aja, unborn. Right? So, although I'm unborn, my transcendental body never deteriorates. Abhyatma. Abhyaya means one does not deteriorate. Atma, my body never deteriorates, and I'm unborn. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita. So he says, and I come how? Sambhavami Atmaya, by my own transcendental potency, I come in my original transcendental form. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita. And so Krishna's body is not like us. He may look like us, but he's not like us. And like example, like if I make an exact replica of myself, but with mud, exactly the same. Now, it looks like me, but the content is not the same, different. Krishna look like he has 2 hands, eyes and ears, but just because he looks like us doesn't mean he's like us. He is Satchit Ananda Vigraha, right? He's full of eternity. He's the personification of eternity, of knowledge and bliss, right? And in this particular regard, there's a beautiful verse. Actually, the purport of the particular verse is very beautiful. I'll do the purport. He appears in the same transcendental body, the Lord of the universe. He still appears that he takes birth like ordinary living entity. Right? He looks, not always, but he comes to Narasimhadev also, but there's no need for taking birth like normally. Right? And although his body does not deteriorate like material body, it still appears Lord Krishna goes from childhood to boyhood and from boyhood to youth. That is speciality of Bhama Vrindavan. Because in Goloka Vrindavan, there's no birth, past, and nothing. He's eternally Navayovanam. Right? But astonishingly enough, he never is beyond youth. Kaishora, always 16. At the time of Battle of Kurukshetra, he had many grandchildren at home. In other words, he had sufficiently aged by material calculations, but still a young man, just a light mustache. Navayovanam, eternally youthful. Although he is, so we never see a picture of Krishna in old age because he never grows old. Although he is the oldest person in the whole creation. Advaitam Achyutam Anadi Manantarupam Adyam Purana Purusham. Purana means Hindi mein Purana, the most ancient. Adyam Purana Purusham Navayobanam cha. Right? So, his body or his intelligence never changes or deteriorates. Therefore, it is clear, in spite of him being in the material world, he is the same unborn eternal form of bliss, knowledge. Right? It's a Prabhupada gives example how his appearance is like the rising and setting of the sun. Sun, right, never dies in the evening. It disappears from our sight. Right? So he is a Purana Purusha. He is the oldest, but he is youthful. Adim Purana Purusha, Navayoganam. Two opposite things. He is oldest, but he is youthful. Right? And Vedeshu Durlabha Adurlabham. So we cannot understand Krishna being this seemingly opposite thing. And he's oldest, but he's still youthful. Right? He is, when we look at him, we always see Krishna, Krishna, but still we can see something new. So this Navayovanam doesn't only mean his beauty is, he looks like a youth. It means everything about him is new. Everything about him is new. That also means Navayovanam. Right? So we cannot understand Krishna by just intellectual gymnastics. Purpose is the word intellectual gymnastics. It has to be realized. As he says, Vedeshu Durlabham Adurlabham Atma Bhaktav. Vedeshu Durlabham is very inaccessible to the Vedas, but accessible to whom? To the devotees by Bhakti Yoga. Durlabha Adurlabha. Durlabha means very rarely. Adurlabha is the exact opposite. But attainable by what? Atma Bhakto, his very dear devotees, is obtainable. So we can understand who Krishna is in Tattva by practicing Bhakti Yoga. Dharma Karma Medevyam Ebam Yoveti Tattvataha. To understand Krishna in Tattva, we cannot be done by argument, logic. It has to be by Bhakti Yoga. Krishna is called as Adhokshaja. Adhokshaja means one who is beyond the perception of material senses. Right? And to understand Krishna, who is beyond the perception of material senses, what's the process? The process is Na bhavet garim indriyet sibon mukhe jivvado swayam eva sprittada. It says we to start the process with our tongue. Sibon mukhe jivvado. Start doing service. But we cannot understand by the normal material senses, blunt senses, it's impossible to understand. Sevan mukhe jivado, then what happens? Swayam eva spirit, he will manifest himself unto us. Then we can realize Krishna is. Right? And now Baba says the law of satiation. If it means, let's say, if everyone likes sweets, most of us like sweets. Meat, 1 gulab jamun, very nice, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. By the time you go 8, 9, you start, you disgusted by that. Too much sweet, repulsive. Right? Similarly, if you hear one song, how many times you Bollywood song, just change next. Right? If you what do you love? I love paneer sabji. Okay, let's give every day. I love 3 times a day paneer sabji. The person won't be able to have more than 5 or 6 times a couple of days and then stop. Please give something else. Right? So in the material world, Prabhupada says, negotiation part. Yeah. Anything material seen for a number of times ultimately becomes unattractive by the law of satiation. See, all the material things. Nonsense, right? Look, we see how much this with the material body, this limit to which we can do this. We can beyond that becomes disgusted, becomes repulsive. We cannot have that for a long time. But those days does not apply to the Lord. His body is a source of everything that be the reservoir of all beauties beyond our experience, as I mentioned. Is adhokshada, beyond our experience, material experience, right? And in material sense, but we are never satisfied. In material sense, we're never satisfied and never satiated. But in relation to Bhagavan, we're always satisfied but never satiated. Feel satisfaction by hearing the Lord, but we want to see more. Right? So Narad Muni, when he saw the Lord's form, so happy, so nice, with full satisfaction, but she wanted more. You want to see continuously, again and again, again and again. It is the same form of the Lord. It's not just form, but it applies to his name, form, quality, etc., everything. Because at the very end, the satiation does not just pertain to the form, but the whole name of the Lord, in discussing the qualities of the Lord, in the entourage of the Lord, everything. In the whole name of the Lord, how many times we can just chant Hare Krishna for a long time. We don't change the wordings. Just Hare Krishna mantra, long continuous time, 24-hour kirtans going on in Vrindavan, continuous, no change in the lyrics, same lyrics going on. Right? And then discussing qualities of the Lord. Right? In the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, Tushyanti Charmanti Katyantascha Mam Nityam Tushyanti Charmanti Nityam. Devotees continuously talk about me. Rupa Goswami says, I wish that's his realization at a very elevated stage, but Punde Tandam, I wish I had thousands of mouths to chant the whole name of Krishna. I wish I had thousands, millions of years to hear the whole name of Krishna. I cannot explain the nectar which is in these two, Krishneti Varna Dvayam, these two syllables, Krish and Na, how much nectar is there. That's Krishna's name. Right? Unlike the material things. Now, this was regarding the infallibility of the Lord. Now, if you see the first sentence of the purport, it says that they never thought that they had previously many times seen the beautiful form of the Lord. They saw the Lord, but they knew that they had seen the Lord many times previously. But still, they could, really, we saw, but something different today. Something different. What is this? Right? They never thought that they had previously seen many times. It's like new and new every time. Prabhupada says in the purport that because the Lord is the manifestation of newer and newer beauties. Every time you look at Krishna and something's new. In Bhagavad Gita, when you read 20 times, 25 times, 35 times, 100 times, something new is always there in Bhagavad Gita. Always we'll find something new. And that is, Mahatma Gandhi used to say that, whenever I read Bhagavad Gita, something new. I realize something new. Okay? So, devotees have been reading Bhagavad Gita for such a long time, but they never say, same thing again, come on, man, just change. No. Okay? Śrimad Bhāgavatam. What is Śrimad Bhāgavatam? Śrimad Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, Krishna Tulya Bhāgavata Vibhu Sarvashray Prati Shloke Prati Akshara Anarthakay. Bhagavatam is not different than Krishna, and each and every words, forget about words, each and every line, forget about every line, each and every word, forget about every word. Just take one syllable. Has unlimited, Nana Arthaka, it has unlimited meanings, each and every word, a syllable in Śrimad Bhāgavatam. This is unlimited. Krishna is not different than Bhagavatam. Krishna Tulya Bhāgavata. Means Krishna same Bhagavatam. Right? So, Krishna is unlimited. Prabhupada says at the very end of the purport, he is the source of all and is limitless. This, feeling of not being satiated by looking at Krishna again and again was expressed by the Brajavasis in the 15th chapter of the 10th canto of Śrimad Bhāgavatam, the 43rd verse, where Krishna comes to Braj after killing Dhenukasur. The translation, with their bee-like eyes, the women of Vrindavan drank the honey of the beautiful face of Lord Mukunda, and thus they gave up the distress they had felt during the day because of separation from him. The young Vrindavan ladies cast sidelong glances upon the Lord, filled with bashfulness, laughter, and submission. And Sri Krishna, completely accepting these glances as proper offering of respect, entered the cowherd village. So they're drinking the nectar. Krishna takes what? It's called lotus face. The honey, the nectar is pouring, and they're like birds, eyes are like bees, sucking all the nectar. Looking at Krishna, they're not satiated. They give all distress went away, but they still didn't want to give up. They wait for Krishna to come, and they have a look. Right? So there's one verse from Bhagavatam, the 10th canto, 15th chapter particularly, expressing the same feeling or very similar feeling as the ladies of Dwarka were exhibiting. Now, in as I mentioned, I will be talking something about the beautiful form of the Lord. At least I'll try. So when Krishna entered the wrestling arena of Kamsa, he's about to fight Chanur, Mushtika, Shala, Toshala, all these humongous. Krishna, like 11 years old, around that age, very slender, beautiful, elegant. Right? Krishna, sometimes people show Krishna as this body, but it's absolute nonsense. Krishna had slender arms, beautiful arms, not like we project our image of who possesses powerful and impose it on Krishna. So Krishna doesn't need to build muscles like us. Beautiful slender arms, right? So when Krishna came into the arena, the ladies of Mathura, they start feeling compassionate on Krishna, saying, "Oh no, look at these beautiful little boys, so beautiful to look at." No, they became envious of, not envious, they became jealous of the Brajavasis. We are seeing Krishna for the first time, that too in this condition. But they are so lucky that they will see Krishna always in Vrindavan. The verse is 10, 44 and 14. Gopyastapa kim acharan ad amushya rupam lavad nasaram asamordhvam ananya siddham drigbi pibanti anusabha bhivinam durapam ekant dhama yashasha shriya aishwarasya. Beautiful. So there are 6 qualities of Krishna's form mentioned in the particular words. 6 qualities. First of all, the word says Gopyas tapa kim. Tapa kim. What tapa did the gopis do? What acharan, what tapasya did the gopis do to look at this beautiful form of this Krishna, Amusha Rupam? Someone like Krishna, what tapasya did they do? And then start describing Krishna. The first description given is, the first word used is adjective, Lavanya Saram. Lavanya means essence of loveliness. Is essence of loveliness, essence of beauty. Is Krishna. And even so Lavanya Saram. Okay. Asamma Urdhvam, as I mentioned, Asamma Urdhvam, unparalleled, unsurpassed. Who is unparalleled, he is unsurpassed, is Krishna's form. His beauty has no parallel. Kandarpa Koti Kamaniya Vishesh Shobha, the millions of cupids just fall flat. Just by one eyebrow, just make one eyebrow of Krishna, cupids fall flat. Millions of cupids fall flat. Beauty is unparalleled. Ravanya Saram, Asamordhvam, Ananya Siddham. Okay, what did Krishna do to get this beauty? Nothing. Ananya Siddham. Siddham means how did Krishna get this beauty? Ananya Siddham. He did not do any tapasya, nothing to get this beauty. That is inherent, innate to his nature. That's how he is. Ananya Siddham. He is perfect in himself, self-perfect. He is Bhushana Bhushanangam. He says the ornament that Krishna wears does not beautify Krishna. Instead, the ornaments get beautified because they are on Krishna. He is the ornament of all ornaments. So Bhāgavatam says. So his Ananya is Ananya Siddham, and his Ananya Siddham. Then Drigbi Pabanti Anusabha Binavam Durapam. Means what? Through the eyes, if we drink the beauty of Krishna, we will never become satiate. That is the meaning of this particular line. And he appears more and more beautiful. What is this? They're describing Krishna. And then the last one is Ekant Dhama Yashasha Shriya Aishwarasya. Ekant Dhama. Dhama again means abode. Is this lone abode of Yasha and Shriya and Aishwarasya. All the different, he's only abode of what? Fame, beauty, opulence, everything. Ekanta Dhama of what? Yasha, Shriya, and Aishwarya. They're describing Krishna's beauty like this. And this very beautiful, very similar word. So in there's a beautiful literature written by Sri Prabodhananda Saraswati, the uncle of Gopal Bhatta Goswami, is known as the Radha Arsa Sudhanidhi. He says, early the verse, Vaidagja Sindhur Anuraga Rasaika Sindhur Vatsalya Sindhur Adisandra Kripaika Sindhu Lavanya Sindhur Amrit Chavi Rupa Sindhu Shri Radhika Spuritame the Kedi Sindhu. He says, so many Sindhur, it means Vaidagya Sindhur, Anurag Rasika Sindhur, Vatsalya Sindhu. She is the embodiment, she is the ocean of what? Intelligence. Vaidagya means intelligence. Anurag Rasika is the text, she is the embodiment, she is the notion of tasting nectar of rasa with Krishna. So many things. In one of the examples, one of the adjectives for Shri Radhika is Lavanya Sindhu. Same, Lavanya Saram, Lavanya Sindhu. Right? She is the ocean of Lavanya means what again? Essence of beauty. Lavanya Saram is the essence of all beauty, Krishna, and Shri Radhika is the Lavanya Sindhu, the ocean of all beauty. Maybe I just found that parallel, so I just mentioned that Lavanya Sindhu. Now, in one of the words from Śrimad Bhāgavatam, I'm just trying to find the words. I have it in here. One second. I cannot define the words. Okay, it's okay. So, he is Sarva Saundarya Sangramam. Yeah, the word. Sarva Saundarya. He is the encapsulation. He is the aggregation of all beauties. Sarva Saundarya Sangramam. That's who he is. Krishna is mentioned. Right? So, that is the beauty of Krishna. So now one may ask, okay, so what is the best form? You have mentioned the beauty form of Krishna, but the other forms of Krishna also. The Narasimha, the Vamana, the Sri Ramchandra, so many wonderful forms of Krishna. Advaitam, Achyutam, Anadim, Anantarupam. Ramadi Murtishu, Kalaniyamana. Rama Adi Murtishu, so many forms, innumerable forms of Krishna. Anantarupam. Which one is the best? I'm asking a question, which one is the best? So in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Leela, chapter number 19. So this will be brief description. So Mahaprabhu started from Vrindavan and is going through the forest of Jarikhand. Okay, and Rupa Goswami left home. Rupa Goswami left home and sent news to Sanatana that he's leaving his younger brother. So Rupa Goswami left with his younger brother Anupam and told Sanatana Goswami that I'm going with my younger brother Anupam to meet Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Leaving with his younger brother, right? To meet Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Now Rupa Goswami finally reached Prayag and met with Mahaprabhu in Ramakeli, right? And that is a place in the Shashwamedh Ghat where Mahaprabhu instructed Sri Rupa Goswami for 10 days. And during that time, what happened? Vallabha Bhatta, or the name is Anupam, younger brother, extended an invitation to the Lord. Please come. And Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went, and also in the same time, Vallabha is different, my bad. So in the same time, there's a Brahmana named what? Raghupati Adhyay, a scholar. And Mahaprabhu started having these discussions regarding Krishna consciousness, or who Krishna is, all different topics related to Krishna. This particular person called Raghupati Upadhyay. Now, one question Śrīmad Chaitanya Mahaprabhu asked this particular devotee or this particular person, Raghupati Upadhyay, is Prabhu kahe Upadhyay, Shreshta Manakaya. Oh, Raghupati Upadhyay, according to your decision, who is the foremost being? Which is the supreme form? Prabhu kahe Upadhyay, Shreshta Manakaya, Shyamam eva param rupam kahe Upadhyay. What did Upadhyay reply? Lord Shyamasundar is supreme form. Supreme form was the Shyamasundar form. Krishna standing curved in 3 places, neck, hips, and the leg, holding his flute. Yam Shyamasundaram achinta gunaswarupam is seen his eternal form of Shyamasundar, situated within the heart of the devotee. Right? That is the topmost. And Mahaprabhu accepted that conclusion. Who is the supremest form? The Shyam Sundar form. So, if you read the commentaries of Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur of Bhagavad Gita, many times Krishna claims, makes statements, "Oh, surrender to me." So when the Krishna is crucial battle like Dwarka, that very majestic form. So Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur writes, when Krishna at one point says, Krishna says, he looks like this, puts hand on the chest and says, "Surrender to me, or do this for me." So he writes, "Surrender or do this for me," the Shyam Sundar form of Krishna. He writes specifically, Shyam Sundar form of Krishna. Even though Krishna is Kurukshetra, Dwarka, in the opulent form, he says, the Shyam Sundar form of me. You surrender to me. That is the accusation of Risika Acharya, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. Right? So he's seen his eternal form of Shyam Sundar. This Brahmaji is saying, fitted with the heart of the devotee. Yam Shyama Sundaram Achinta Guna Swarupam. And Śrimad Bhāgavatam says, Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam. So who? Krishna is the original person of Godhead. And Krishna here means what? Krishna can be Mathura Krishna, Dwarka Krishna, Kanta Krishna. Krishna here means Shyam Sundar Krishna who plays flute in Vrindavan. The Brajendra Nandan Shyam Sundar Krishna. Right? That is the supremest form. Right? Is the original form. There's a book written by Acharya Shri Rupa Goswami. The name is Radha Krishna Ganodesh Deepika. In that, he has mentioned the form of Krishna in almost describing 18 to 20 characteristics of Krishna. Krishna like that, Krishna like this, so many things are mentioned. Very elaborate description of Krishna. Very elaborate description of Krishna. So, wow. It's amazing. And at the end, he says something. What does he say in the end? It's impossible to find a suitable comparison for Sri Krishna's beauty within this material world. However, the above descriptions are simply a hint. That's what Goswami says. It's impossible to find an exact comparison to Krishna's beauty. So what they are given is just a hint. We say Megha Shama, bluish black complexion. This we said, oh, I see the cloud. This like Krishna's color. No, that's not Krishna's color. That's like Krishna's color, somewhere near. The exact color is impossible to find in the material world. It's somewhere near. You can get a hint, an approximation of what Krishna's color could be. Yes, Krishna's color cannot be even compared anything in the material world. It's just when I say lotus petals, it's as soft a petal. We can say as like a petal. So is a petal. No. Very similar lotus petal, as soft, even softer. Right? So how does Krishna look like? There are different descriptions of Krishna, but I love this very beautiful. It's from the Krishna Karnamrita by Shri Vilāsa Thakur. Is showing the beauty of Krishna. He says, Kasturi telakam lalat patale vakshasthale kaustubham nasagre moktikam karatale vedum kare kankanam sarvange harichandanam sulalitam kanthecha muktavali gopistri paribeshtito vijayate gopala chudavani. Beautiful, absolutely beautiful verse. His Kasturi tilakam, like a Kasturi, lat batal, lat means on the chin. Right? He has a musk on the chin, has tilak on the forehead, Kaustuba jewel, Kaustuba Bakshasthale on the chest, Kaustubam, Nasagre Muktika. He's, in the nose here, there's a pearl. Nasagre no Muktika. Karatale Vedum Kare Kankanam. And he's gently holding flute in his hands. Hands are beautifully decorated with Kankana, bracelets. Sarvange Harichandanam. His entire body is made with what? Harichandanam. Beautiful scented sandal paste. Sulalitam Kantheta Muktavali. And his neck is decorated with what? Mukta Avali. Avali means a row. Deepavali is a row. Deepavali means of Deepa. Muktavali means a row of pearls. Adorned with beautiful necklace of pearls on his neck. Gopi Stri Pariveshtito Vijayate. Surrounded by the village ladies. Gopala Chudamani is like the crest well of all the Gopas. There is the description of Krishna given by Vilāsa Thakur. This is Krishna, but so many description is given. So I will end with these two particular things. Krishna's form. So in Chaitanya Charitamrita, again in Antilila, chapter 1, verse 165, Krishna is called as Markatamani. Markatam, what is Markatam? Markata means emerald. What is the color of emerald? It's green in color. But how is Krishna Markatamani? How is Krishna's green in color? He's supposed to be bluish black. Blue, black, whatever. How is he green? So the Acharyas give beautiful realization. Please hear. It's very, very sweet realization. Krishna is bluish black. I agree. But Krishna is never without his internal energy. He is never alone. He is always with whom? Srimati Radharani. Always with Srimati Radharani. Right? So Krishna is walking and Srimati Radharani is walking. Always with him. And Srimati Radharani is glowing. What is Tapta Kanchana Gaurang? Tapta Kanchana, molten gold. Golden color, yellow color. Like falls on a bluish black body. So what happens? If you know painting, blue and yellow becomes what? Green. So he looks like an emerald, greenish emerald, because the bluish black body of Krishna is shown upon. It's shining off the golden form of Radharani. It makes it greenish in color. Markatamani. And the translation goes: the beauty of Krishna's eyes surpasses the beauty of white lotus flowers. His yellow garments surpass the brilliance of fresh decoration of kumkuma. His ornaments of selected forest flower, Vaijayanti Mala, subdue the hankering of the best of garments, and his bodily beauty possesses mind-attracting splendor greater than the jewel known as Markatamani. So Krishna also called it Markatamani. So now stop with this one more description of Krishna's beauty. Of course, there are so many things we can say, but this is the description of what Mother Yashoda saw when she saw Krishna after she first time nursed Krishna. Mother Yashoda was lying on the bed, tired after the labor, and Krishna started crying, and his crying sounded like what? Pranava, Om. Right? He started crying. And hearing that cry, all the Brajavasis just start coming and running. Oh, what happened? Krishna, we woke up. Right? So now, when they came, when they entered, what is the experience of musk? Krishna's, if you say, how does Krishna smell? Natural fragrance of Krishna. The natural fragrance of Krishna's body smells like musk. And that's the natural fragrance of Krishna's body. So now they came, they started, looking at Krishna, saying, oh, so beautiful. Right? They started thinking Krishna made, it's like they compared Krishna like a newly unfolded leaf of Tamala tree. Tamala tree is like a greenish, bluish, black tree. Leaf is bluish black. Freshly unfolded Tamala tree. Krishna's body color is like that. They it looks like exactly like Tamal tree. So many descriptions are given. But now finally what happened, Mother Yashoda first time looked at Krishna. Okay? And she's so effulgent, it's so like a mirror. When she saw Krishna, she noticed her own reflection on Krishna's body. And thinking that there's a witch, that a witch had assumed her form to kidnap Krishna, Mother Yashoda starts screaming, get out, go away. She thought there's someone else impersonating her trying to capture Krishna. Right? And said, Narasimha, please protect my son. Right? And finally, she started giving milk. The elder gopis, they taught Mother Yashoda how to feed milk Krishna. And Mother Yashoda was feeding milk to Krishna. After feeding, she looked at Krishna. Now here's come the description of Krishna's beauty. Okay. So she saw her child's body as made of what? Dazzling blue sapphires. Krishna's body bluish black, right? Sapphires are blue. It's like a body of blue sapphires, a collection of blue sapphires. And his mouth, what? Resembled like red color, bimba rakta dharam mein, like red like bimba fruit. His mouth looked like rubies. Sapphire the ruby. Krishna's nails shone like precious gems. Is my child or is like a collection of jewels? Then we said, kya ho gaya? She rubbed her eyes, opened her eyes again. Then she looked again Krishna, and then what she see now? She looked the reddish lips like banduka flowers, the reddish in color. A flower? His hands are very pinkish. Right? So there are 7 places where Krishna's hands are a bit like reddish in color. Right? So his eyes, his palms, the soles of the lotus feet, his palate, his lips, his tongue, his nails, they're all reddish in color. Right? Then definitely his chest is broad, forehead is broad, waist is thin, several descriptions. So Krishna's lips are like banduka flowers, red banduka flowers. His palm sounds like, it's like the Java flowers are pinkish in color. It's like, okay, it's like what? The banduka flowers here, Java flowers on his hand, the nails will be Mallika flowers, white color, Mallika flowers. Then he said, and the body is like blue lotus. Like, easy. I just saw him like, box of jewels. Now it looks like a bouquet of flowers. What is this? Is it my child or is someone? What is going on? So she just stunned in amazement looking at the beautiful form of Krishna. His beautiful locks of black curly hair. Remember Mahaprabhu's pastime. It was so sad. The barber had to shave off the beautiful locks of Nimai. Krishna had soft curly hairs, right? So this is how beautiful, some initial description of Krishna's beauty. Right? And of course, seeing this beauty of Krishna, who wouldn't want to see again and again of Krishna's beauty? That is Krishna. So thank you so much, everyone. This is my humble attempt. Please forgive me for any mistakes made. If anything good came out of it, all the blessings of Sri Guru Maharaj and Sri Prabhupada. Thank you so much. Shri Bhāgavatam ki jai, Sri Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Narottama Prabhu, for very nice exploration of this verse. There's so many beautiful aspects of this verse.
Yes.
You explored it very, very nicely and quoted nicely from a lot of nice shastras. I really like the Purana Purusham Navayovanam Cha explanations. It's really wonderful because that's where Bhaktisanta Saraswati Thakur Maharaj uses the word harmonizer of all contradictory qualities. So that was very nice. I was reading something very nice once by Mahanidhi Swami. He was talking about how Krishna's form is so attractive, that it directs one's attention from all other objects. Yet Bhagavatam also states that even though his form is so beautiful, he does not attract the impersonalist. I thought that was very, very wonderful statement. That same form that is very pleasing and attractive to devotees doesn't seem to attract those that view him in an impersonal form. I like the explanations also of Krishna's beautiful body and all the aspects of his color, his fingernails, etc. Very nice. Thank you. Nice meditation before Gita Jayanti, right? Or chanting the Gita. So, thank you, Prabhu, and thank you for taking this on kind of at the last minute. So that is very nice of you to do that in spite of all the upcoming celebrations in your family. Does anybody else have questions or comments? Gita Jayanti, we're reading the verses soon, so.
Yeah, Prabhu, it is very wonderful narration and explanation about Sri Krishna, Shyamasundara. Sri Krishna is appearing in everywhere like that you narrated. It is very wonderful. We are very lucky to hear you. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you. Okay, so I think Narottama Prabhu, I know you're also going to be going to temple, so
Yes,
we'll see you all shortly. Thank you. Today there'll be no lecture at the temple. It'll be Bhagavad Gita